It's 10:03. I'm here. You can't fire me. You can't fire me, all right? Man, we got the early crowd. They got places to be, places to go. RTC can't be late. Can you guys hear me and see me? What's going on, Hacktoberfesters and developers? If you can hear me out there, let me know. Say hello. What's going on? How's everyone? Hey, I saw Jared's in the chat. What's going on, Jared? It's been a long time since I've heard from you. Are you still in Hawaii? Are you still doing your thing with your graduate program? What's going on? Where have you been? Developers, we have had some very interesting things happen in the past couple days with Hacktoberfest. As you can tell by the title of this video, yeah, it's kind of a shiznit fest. In fact, one of the trending tags in the developer space on Twitter right now is Shiznittober. We're going to go over what's going on. Like, some people are just tuning into this Hacktober thing and seeing what's happening. So we're going to talk about that. And if you still feel inspired, I'm going to share with you how to get started with that really easily, especially if you're new, because Hacktoberfest, even though it has been taken over by spammers, a lot has been done to combat it, and it is a really good way to get started with open source. So we'll talk about that too. This isn't all doom and gloom. We're also going to talk about the California Exodus and how that's going to affect you, or maybe pertains to you as a software developer. Now, it has been a fortnight since I've done a morning live stream. It's 10 a.m. where I am, Central Standard Time. I want to do a roll call because normally I'm doing these things in the afternoon. So we have a new audience. We got new people. Let's see what we're working with here, okay? Let's just go into the chat. Whoa, we got a lot of people already. Sweet. Jared Paradoodly-Doo is our mod extraordinaire. Danielle, hi Danielle, how's it going? Says, poor Hacktoberfest. I know. Donovan says, you had to do this during my work hours, huh? LOL, JK, looking forward to this stream. Yeah, I'm always interrupting someone's working day, and I'm not ashamed about that. I actually am pretty proud about that, knowing how many people actually skip work or like glance away from work to watch this stream. It's so awesome to see. So thanks for tuning in. By the way, shout out to Chiquito. Today I'm drinking a Synergy Watermelon Wonder. He is my kombucha guy. He funds my kombucha habit. So cheers to you, Chiquito. He's out in California today. I hope he can make it to the live stream. But if he can't, hopefully he sees us anyway. Thanks, Chiquito. Cheers to you. Ugh, it's good. Tasty. I've been hearing rumors that food prices are going up, but right now GT's is 2 for $5, which is pretty good in my area. Let's see. Chiquito's here. He says, where are you, young lady? It's past 8. These morning people have no tolerance for tardiness. In the afternoon, it's fashionable for me to be a few minutes late. By 10:01, people were already throwing cans and, cat food cans at my door saying, RTC, get your butt on screen. Okay, we got some spammers here too. This is a really happening live stream. Welcome everyone. Eddie! What's up, Eddie? Eddie is one of the greats here on YouTube. He's all about open source. He did a really funny video the other day about Shiznittoberfest on his channel. Check it out, Eddie. If you want to share that video in the chat, feel free to. Paradoodly-Doo, also, if you want to share it and Eddie's feeling shy, please share the video because he really goes into how much of a disaster this really is. But let's do a roll call here. There's still some people filing in. Hey, Donovan's back. Hey, how's it going? Bayless Code. Hey, where's Bayless Code? I didn't see. Did he pop in? Oh, a lot of people are popping in here. Okay. Owen Rodriguez, what's up? Brian M. Stefan, greetings from Romania. That's awesome. Thanks for chiming in and checking in. Mohan, Wesley Wayne, new live viewer from California. Well, welcome, Wesley. Thanks for tuning in. Manadar, Bayless Code is here. All right. Tech Rally. Awesome. Okay, so we got some people here already. We got a pretty big crowd for the morning. We might make this a regular thing because it's a whole new crowd. So here's what's going on. Hacktoberfest, for those who are new to it, it's a really good way to get started with open source software and just getting your hands dirty with real code on these real repos. Some of them aren't so real, some of them are more for practice. But the point is, you get to practice the software development process and build community, meet people in the tech community. And it's just a great community builder. It's been going on for a few years now. And one of the benefits is that if you perform 4 pull requests, you are eligible for a free t-shirt. Now, for most of us, Hacktoberfest is just this community building thing where you can work on some code, meet some people, have some fun, and, share it on your socials and stuff and say, I participated in Hacktoberfest. At the end of it, you get a cute little swag bag, you get your t-shirt or whatever. All right, so here's what happened. Everything was going as planned. People were doing their pull requests. The maintainers were doing their thing. It was this well-oiled machine. Again, this is an event that has gone on for years now. A YouTuber, a very popular YouTuber, I was not aware of this channel, but I checked out their channel the other night. They have is it over 500,000 subscribers? It's a very big channel. And please don't share the name or anything personal like that. I'm not trying to get canceled. I'm not trying to blow up anyone's spot, all right? If you look hard enough on your own, you can find it. You can find this channel. They took the video down. But anyway, so this person shared this video talking about Hacktoberfest. If you want a free t-shirt. Now remember, this person has over 500,000 subscribers, so there's a lot of people watching. This person said, if you want to get a free t-shirt, all you have to do is go to github.com and submit a pull request. So what happened? And now let's give it a little more context. Again, I didn't see the video. I'm just reading other people's accounts of what this video had said. Basically, go to GitHub, do any type of pull request, and you're going to get your t-shirt. Just do 4 of them. So this mass of people heads on over to GitHub and starts flooding these maintainers and these people in charge of these repos and doing the things with Hacktoberfest. They have the most ridiculous, not even, okay, you can't even blame it on the fact that they're new. These are spam pull requests. And so, for example, one of the ones I've seen the most with these examples, and in Eddie's video, he showcases this as well, where people are going into the README and just making an H2 into an H3, or one of the ones this is a specific example I saw that was just absolutely ridiculous. So there was a line about gender neutral pronouns where it's okay, preferred pronouns is they, them. So this person came in and deleted they, them, and just put this person's preferred pronoun is the, and submitted the pull request. It's dude, what are you doing? And so these just a mass of people. Now, if you read over this is the official site because it's sponsored by some pretty big names. Intel, DigitalOcean, and this year Dev.to is doing it, sponsoring it anyway. So word went around quickly because all these pull requests, these maintainers were absolutely slaughtered, just this onslaught of pull requests. And these are just everyday developers who are having some fun, trying to be part of the community. And so somebody, I don't know who, another thing, again, Eddie mentioned in this video, I encourage you to go watch it. But he wore this t-shirt. It said t-shirt driven development. It's the new programming paradigm in 2020. T-shirt driven development, because people were so desperate to get the free freaking t-shirt. It's absolutely astonishing. Now, to be fair, we're going to take a look at this updated thing because DigitalOcean and the rest of them were very quick to respond to all this spam. So the too long didn't read on this whole thing of Shiznit Toberfest is that it was completely overthrown by spammers, and a lot of people are just opting out. But again, we're going to go over this form, or this blog post rather, in just a second, because they do have a lot of stuff that they've changed. Not a lot, but they have significant things in place now to reduce the spam pull requests. And this is the thing that really gets me. So it says support open source and pick a limited edition t-shirt or plant a tree. Everyone's trying to, I mean, it's consumerism at its finest. Going to spam GitHub for a free t-shirt. Can you at least do it in the name of ecology and say, you know what? Yes, I changed the preferred pronoun of they, them to the because I wanted to plant a tree. I'd be like, okay, it's still not quite there for me, but at least the intention behind it, you were trying to do something good. But no, you just wanted a $2 t-shirt. Like, astonishing, not surprising. So with these thousands of spam pull requests, this was last updated October 5th, so a couple days ago. And right now, the biggest thing they did, they made Hacktoberfest opt-in only, which maintainers can do simply by adding the Hacktoberfest topic to a repository. So that's good because that was the primary request from maintainers. It's not going to prevent all the spam, but I think that that is one big thing that is going to help on many different fronts. They also, so here's some examples of that, labeling a pull request, Hacktoberfest accepted. They have some pretty GIFs. It's pretty straightforward. This was an update on the first day of Hacktoberfest at 2 p.m. So a few hours into the start of Hacktoberfest 2020, it says, as of 2 p.m. PST on October 1st, at least 4% of pull requests from Hacktoberfest participants have been marked invalid or spam. 1 in 25. I feel like that's an underreport. I feel like there's probably more than that. They did say at least though, so there is definitely more than 4%. They said, we apologize for the impact the spam is having on the community. We often talk about intent versus impact, and this is a classic example. Hacktoberfest aims to celebrate open source with positive engagement between contributors and maintainers. Unfortunately, the actions of some participants led to unintended consequences for all. They've overwhelmed maintainers and steamrolled other participants in an effort to receive a t-shirt they really didn't earn. A $2 t-shirt. They didn't even mention the darn tree. I mean, geez. So there's some exclusions and a banning system, some other stuff, onboarding overhaul. This is good. This is good. And this is... I think it really just illustrates how quickly things can be implemented when it's open source. When there's more eyes on, you can fix things quicker. And I was just writing a script out today for a video I'm working on. It's for tips for FAIL level interviews, because I did ask some people who have been a part of those interviews what their tips were. And I was writing out the script, and I thought of something. Someone said something to me that made me think of the mantra, fail fast. Because in system design, failing fast is really good because when you fail visibly and quickly, you can fix bugs faster. And this is a kind of a manifestation of that. This was a fast failure. It was very visible. And if it wasn't open source, it wouldn't have been as visible. And I think that really does illustrate the power of open source. Now, open source to me is not the end all be all of software development, but it has some really great aspects. And I think the self-correcting almost of something like this is just really great to see. Yes, the spamming is absolutely... I feel like a little cursing pirate this morning. I was almost going to say a naughty word. This is just totally ridiculous to me. For a t-shirt, there it is again. Jeez, I'm just salty as a sailor. So that is Shiznit Toberfest in a nutshell. Has anyone participated in Hacktoberfest this year, or maintain, or any type of, whether you're doing pull requests or a project maintainer or any of that kind of stuff? Are you participating in any way, or have you in other years? I threw this question out to my Discord people the other day. Some people just don't have time for it, which I totally understand. I have been meaning to, especially after talking with Eddie, because he is so into it, and it's easy to get motivated. I got so motivated talking with him about it, but I just haven't had the time. I know it's an excuse, but I mean, I got to plant this tree with all this nonsense going on with this thing. Ridiculous. Let's go to the comments. What's everyone's thoughts on this? Hey, Ian, how's it going? Sean, okay, I saw these. Man, okay, thank you, Maud. Yeah, this Gobanath V. Okay, just stop it. Just stop it. Eddie says, thank you, RTC, for the shout out. I will get the link. Yeah, okay, awesome. Well, Paradoodly do apparently beat you to it, but either way, check out the vid. Hello from Bosnia, Radi Ra-ID. Zdravo, kako ste? William Claybrook, what's up? Good morning. Chiquito, what is a pull request? That's a great question, Chiquito. So a pull request... So let's illustrate this without going to GitHub. So I'm going to illustrate it in your mind, and then I'll send you to GitHub, or maybe we'll just go there together on this computer. So a pull request is something someone does when they want to make a change to code, and it's used in collaborative projects. So for example, let's just take a really easy, straightforward example, like documentation. So on these projects, you'll have like an introduction usually, what this project's all about. Let's say it's an e-commerce store. You have an explanation of what it is, what it does, the people responsible for it. But let's say there's someone, and because all this code is open source, this documentation is open source, you can see it in public for free. A popular place for that is GitHub. We also have other venues for it, but GitHub is really the most popular one. So let's say you're reading over this documentation, you're just browsing one night, landed on this e-commerce code, this source code, and in the introduction, they forgot. Let's go grammar on them. Let's say it was supposed to say U2, like TOO. And there is that grammar error where they said TO. It's like, oh, they forgot the O. It just, minor, in the grand scheme of things, minor. The code's still going to run. People are still going to be able to understand it. But in order for it to be tip-top, highly polished, you want it to be grammatically correct. So what you would do is that you yourself go into that code, and then you change it so it's grammatically correct to TOO. Say, yes, you too. So now that it looks a little more professional. And so at that point, you fixed it. And so the person in charge of the project is going to have the option to fix it. And so in order for that to happen, you submit what's called a pull request. And once you submit that pull request, the person in charge of the project can look over it and say, oh yeah, my grammar is really bad. This person, good looking out. They have those eagle eyes. I'm going to accept this pull request. And then at that point, they can take what you fixed and put it in to the code. So in this case, it's the documentation. So they can just pull it right in and fuse it, merge it, so that the new version that's grammatically correct that you fixed makes it look all that better. And so that principle is applied to the code base too when things aren't, let's say someone needs help with a jQuery project because jQuery is a little outdated. Let's say they're trying to update using React, refactor it, revise it, make it look better with React. So if you're a React developer, you go in there, you want to help them out, you would just take your changes, and then when you're done, hit that little button, submit, and that forms the pull request. And then they have the option of saying, you know what? I'm going to accept that pull request. When I first started out, pull requests were very confusing to me. It just seemed like, because to me it seemed like a push request, really. But what helped me was thinking, okay, I'm requesting that they pull my changes. That's what made me finally understand the difference between pushing and pulling. Anyways, I hope that was more helpful than not saying anything, but I realized it could have been confusing. Let's go to Andriel. What's up? Hey, it's good to see some afternoon people here. Awesome. Code Pioneers, hello. Nicholas, hello. Cheers from Argentina. Wow, some great cross-country, transcontinental visitors today. Jason M says, I'm very interested in this event. We'll check it out. Yeah, for sure. I mean, this... I think it was almost like a blessing in disguise, because now that it is such there is such like drama behind it, that more people were like, what's this Hacktoberfest thing? But like going back to the pull request, so all you gotta do is perform 4 pull requests. And I would say go to hacktoberfest.digitalocean.com, and then just get familiar with, you know, how this works. Because of the spammers, a few things have changed, like we were talking about. But at the end of the day, it really is a great way to get familiar with open source. Not just open source, but for, again, that software development process where you're putting some oxygen into this code. Instead of just working on a project on your own for 8 hours, you're actually now working with people. And it can be a really nice, soft introduction to working with others. If you're trying to get a job in this industry, you need to work well with others, or at least pretend to work well with others and fake it until you make it, because the name of the game in this industry is collaboration, teamwork, and working together to build a project that works. I was going to say build a great project, but that's more of an ideal than actual reality. You're going to be working with people in order for code that gets you paid. Yeah, I don't even need to expound or expand, exponentially expose. Let's keep going with these X's. By the way, the featured course this month on RealToughCandy.io is Freelance Newbie. If you're interested in learning how to make money, because now that we're on the topic of like making money, this Hacktoberfest thing can actually help you get there. But if you want to do it on your own terms, check out the course Freelance Newbie. It's helped probably over 1,000 people at this point start their freelance career. That is the featured course this month on RealToughCandy.io. Paradoodly do, our extraordinary mod. Please drop the link to that course, and you're going to learn from step 0 how to get started with that. And we've had some signups recently these past couple days, so that's really great to see too. Jason says, I had no idea it was a thing. I've only been a developer for a few months, so I'm looking at doing everything I can to improve. That's great. Let's see. Mohan says, hey, Vicky, are you the person behind Instacount Vicky's Daily Stand-Up? Yeah, Vicky, what's going on? Hungry Turtle Code, hey, what's going on? I think I recognize that name. Vicky May says, hello from New York. Love seeing more women in tech. Hey, Vicky, thanks for tuning in. We're doing a morning live stream. I usually do them in the afternoons. I know that's just like almost at the point of like TMI. But we're seeing the vibe. Like right now, here's what I'm working with. Here's my thing. So I've got 3 drinks right here because I'm not a morning person at all, but I'm trying a new technique because I find that I get a lot more done in the morning, even though I really am not a morning person. I'm out here trying to get things done, though. I'm not here to waste my life. So I'm trying something new. But here's what I'm working with so I can get through my morning. CO2 sparkling coconut water, grapefruit fizz. Haven't tried it yet. Has anyone tried this? No sugar added. Also, courtesy of Chiquito, Watermelon Wonder, kombucha, and Minnesota's finest with the teal straw caribou hazelnut latte iced. I hope you felt that, developers, because I sure did. So, where were we? I feel like I've been going on for so long just talking. I want to see what you guys are up to. Eddie says, RTC, you rock. Eddie, thanks a lot. It's so great seeing, I'm really hogging the mic right now. I'm going to back up a little. It's really great seeing fellow YouTube developers here right now. And this is, I just love the community. Like lately, these past couple weeks, like I've really been feeling it. I'm the type of person who really, it's always been hard for me to find a group. Now, I go to a lot of meetups, I go to a lot of meetings, I go to a lot of conferences, but I always feel just kind of separated. But lately with meeting these new developers on YouTube and really having some great conversations, I love it. I miss that so much. And I feel like there is a new dawn coming. DAWN. Not a mafioso. There's a new dawn coming in my professional network and just in my life. So it's great. I just love it. I just love it. So shout out to Eddie. And there's some more YouTubers here too. Normal Sowal. Hey, Normal. I think I recognize that name too. There are a lot of people here. Awesome. Why are we having, can I just listen? I know there's supposed to be like a boundary between myself and my viewers. But I'm going over here on the comments. Why are there so many comments being spammed on my YouTube right now? I do not appreciate this, PK. Stop it. Stop it. Hello from Hong Kong. What's up, Philip Chow? Good to see you. Robert R. says, we love you, RTC. Keep that quality content coming. Thanks, Robert. Listen, I know I've been saying it for weeks and months, but I am getting some more pre-recorded content on here because I know the live streams aren't for everyone. I love them. They're a chance for me to talk with my peeps. But at the same time, I know people have obligations, and most people just don't want to hang out talking about code and goofing around for an hour or two. Some people do love it, like myself. But I know I do have a lot of other subscribers who want that pre-recorded stuff to enjoy at their own pace. So I'm working on a video, like I said, with some Fang stuff, but also some more. This is a channel mostly for beginners, so working on some more beginner-friendly topics as well. All right, what's next on the docket? I think we talked about this quite enough. And again, it sucks. Like, the spam really put a damper. I think it really turned a lot of people off. And not only that, it was a de facto time waster. And it really, it's just like, it's not in the spirit of open source. But it was something that was swiftly dealt with. And I think that is one wonderful thing about it. Again, going back to that concept of it being open source, there's so many more eyes on it that you can iterate quickly, you can make changes very quickly. 2 p.m. CST or PST, at 2 p.m., the first day of Hacktoberfest, DigitalOcean had already come up with a preliminary solution. I think that's freaking awesome. I mean, in other places, in other industries, when you do it some other different ways, it would have taken a week or two for someone to even look at it. But just the swiftness of it. They came in with the swiftness. No doubt there's still some spam going on for a freaking t-shirt. I just want to get demonetized when I think about the things I want to say about this. It's just, are you serious? You could go to a Savers dumpster and get 500 t-shirts for free. Just, come on now. Come on. All right, next item on the docket. We're talking about this California exodus. Now, I was trying to find an article that, it's really sensitive territory because this is not, number one, this is not a political channel. It never will be. However, there are some elements that some may interpret as political, but I assure you, I'm only coming from a software developer standpoint. I have no interest in talking about anything else on this channel, really. So I was trying to find some articles, but it's just so hard that aren't super politicized. So I had to, the best I could do was go to the California Department of Finance, a letter from last year, 2019. I'm not gonna read this whole thing, but I will essentially just summarize what's going on. Let's just take it from here. This little paragraph right here is really the summary of everything. All right. Since April 2010, California's population has grown at an annualized rate of 0.76%. Reasons for the recent decline in population growth include fewer births, increased deaths associated with an aging population, lower international migration, and higher domestic outmigration. Now, this last one is very important because this is what is fueling a lot of it is what's fueling the departures of people from California, because that's what higher domestic outmigration means. But what I'm saying is the slow growth rate of California is really coming to prominence on people's radars. Why? Because even here in the lowly Midwest, I've been seeing more and more California plates. and I have a fun little vignette to share with you about something that happened to me yesterday at the Hy-Vee service desk. I was trying to mail something, and this woman, so like I said, I've been seeing more and more California plates here. I'm in the Midwestern United States. We don't see a lot of people from California. They don't like visiting us here. They like pretty places, right? We have a Californian in the chat today. I think there is a certain, like, when you're living in California, it's a beautiful state. You don't want to downgrade on your vacation plans. You know what I'm saying? And I love the Midwest, but if I was living in California, I wouldn't want to. I don't think I would have a really exciting reason to come here unless I had relatives. Or just, had very distinct interests. But anyways, I digress. I was in the service line yesterday, and this woman, random, okay, I've never seen this woman before. She's like, her eyes were just kind of, not like crazy eyes, but like just very alive. And she said, excuse me, have you lived here your entire life? I'm like, no. And then she proceeded to say that she was from California. And I said, okay, interesting. I don't know where this is going, but this is interesting. It turns out she had recently left California. I sight unseen, I don't know. But I mean, I've done some traveling the past couple months, and I do see more and more Californians. Like, I don't know if a lot of them are just trying to escape the fires or whatever. I've only talked to one, so it's not a really good sample size. But you're probably wondering by now that 75% of the people here have left, because, like, what does this have to do with software development? Quite a lot. Because going through these charts, going through these figures, as you all know, San Francisco and the Bay Area is the Silicon Valley. All right, it's software development HQ. The FANGs, the infrastructure, the 25 bajillion speed internet, and all this experimental stuff that's wowing the world. All of these, what do they call it? The NotNetwork Effect. Basically, when you're like, in the early 2000s, they called it synergy, which is still such a lame-o word, but you guys know what I'm saying. It's the proximity effect where the closer you are to someone or some group that's doing a lot of great stuff, you get inspired, you meet people doing that thing, and you're challenged to ascend rather than drift off and downgrade. So let's count the ways. We have two people from California, at least, in the chat today. Chiquito's from there too. So here's what we got so far. Now it's terrible. This is a bad situation. We have number one, Aunt Rona. So California is one of the states where I do believe you have to wear a mask inside and out. Again, I'm not trying to get political here, all right? So let's not. But I'm just counting off what's inspiring this, and then we're going to get into how this relates to you as a software developer. All right, we have the Aunt Rona. We have the fires, the gigafire. It's burned over 1 million acres. We have, the corona thing, too, with the unemployment. We've also had some unemployment issues with California prior to that, and some disparities in economic classes. And there is a boatload of other things. All of that is to say they're losing a lot of people. So what does that mean for software developers right now? Well, number one, fortunately, if you're planning to move to California, there's room for you because a lot of people are moving. The bad news is these apartments, these homes aren't getting any cheaper. Just like in New York, New York has lost an amazing amount, and not in a great way, like truly astounding high percentage of their population, because there's nothing to do. People move to New York because it's fun. There's lots of stuff to do. But not right now. So they're thinking, well, why am I paying $5,000 a month when I can't even go out and do my thing? So there's room for you, but it's still very expensive. So the other thing, too, is that with the Rona, our career field is amazing with this because most of us can work from home. I know Facebook, the last time I checked, people have the option of working from home. I don't know if it's mandatory. I forgot, but I think it might be the option to work from home until 2021, at least. They're just like blanket statement, 2021, forget it. We're just writing 2020 off as a loss. Not really a loss because I think they might be making money a little bit, but or just I guess maybe losing less money than normal. But that is one good thing, because you might be at first you read these stats and you're like, oh, so California just going down the toilet bowl. They have a big tax base, and these tech companies, I don't think they're going anywhere. We hear a few stories here and there of like Tesla and other. I don't want to call they're not fringe companies. They're not normally companies you hear about when we talk about software development, though. Although Tesla is a tech company, not something in our normal sphere as software developers when we're talking about FAIL level, but still a big notable company. Deciding to do business elsewhere or expanding business operations elsewhere. But I think for the most part right now, like Silicon Valley will always be Silicon Valley. I also think it will always be expensive, and people love it so much that I don't think they're going anywhere. So these numbers may sound a little frightening. I don't know if frightening is the right word, but you see sometimes these videos and you see these articles and you see stuff like this. It's like, well, like everyone's leaving California. California is massive, all right? Like last time I checked, if California were a country, it'd have the 5th largest economy, despite like all these things that are kind of wrong with it or dysfunctional, according to a lot of people who live there. There are always, I mean, it's a massive state. And there are companies there that people, thousands of people want to work at Google. I mean, day in, day out, just in the software development department. So we're hearing a lot. I'm seeing a lot of Californians, and I'm wondering, like in my area, and I'm wondering, well, what is going to happen with the state? But I'm thinking about it. I'm like, no, our industry is completely safe. Now, are we safe from like natural disasters? No, we're just as susceptible as other people in terms of living there. But I think as far as just like the job security itself and the job positions, I think we're going to be just fine. Let's hear from, I know this is kind of a sensitive topic, especially because people from California, it's kind of like people get, now I used to live in Texas, so I can speak from experience here. I'm not a Texan, but I lived in Texas. You know what I mean? People become very proud of where they're from. And I get that. I totally get that. I'm proud of where I'm from. It's just that no one else is. So I'm kind of by myself. But I get that, that state pride where you're from. So do we have any techies in Cali right now? And can you maybe just expand on what your experience is and your thoughts about the future of tech jobs in this state, where we are seeing a lot of exodus right now, and you know what you think the future of it might be. Average Joe says Cali's population is bigger than Canada's. Yeah, it's absolutely massive. I don't know. Like I don't know what else to say to that. I don't want to speak on something I'm not really familiar with as far as like the population itself. I know it is massive. Now I'm just like coding myself into a corner. I was hoping someone like Chiquito could chime in. Let's see. Let's go to these comments. Donovan says, I smashed that like button yesterday. Heck yeah. Average Joe says, I'm up in Lubbock. Andriel says, I live in Texas and I really can't imagine myself anywhere else. Then again, my whole family is in the Dallas area. Listen, Andriel, I'm going to come back to your comment, but seriously, these people leaving comment after comment that are getting deleted by my mod, please frickin' stop. I'm more tolerant in the afternoon, but in the morning, I'm not a morning person. If you're coming here to dump on my chat, you're going to get banned. Don't come back. Blocked. Paradoodly, I need you to be here for me, girl. Come on. Wesley Wayne says, yeah, I'm moving to Vegas in January. I want to come back to these comments because this industry, this is what I just love about this industry also, is that, yes, there are tech hubs. So that's going to mean more opportunity. But because of the distance, the work from home I mean, you can work at a distance. You can telecommute, as Craigslist calls it. Work from home, right? Like you can be in Maine and work for Google. You can live in the panhandle of Florida. There are a lot of remote areas in Florida and work for Facebook. You can live in, I don't know, Mongolia if they have internet and work for a FAIL. It's freaking awesome. Who was saying they're moving to Vegas? I heard Vegas is also a kind of an, I don't want to say exploding, but it is a growing tech hub. So that's kind of cool to see too. It's not just casinos. Vegas has seen a lot of growth in the last 15 years, maybe even 20 years. A lot of people. I know Eric the programmer, I think his channel name is. I know he had mentioned he was in Vegas. I'm not sure if he's still there, but I know he was doing development. The last time I checked, he was in Vegas. And Wesley from California. Hey, Wesley's from California too. Donovan says California is pretty. Visit there last year to go see a high school buddy. I really need to go out there once the world is open again. I'm going out to California. I want to have a tech meetup out there because I do have so many people in California who are out there. I think it'd be so fun, and then we can have an eating tour afterward because I love food. Ed M says, do a lot of developers play billiards? Odd question, but discussing networking in general. I love it. I personally don't play it all that much. In my partying days, you could probably get me to play any type of game, but I don't hit the party circuit anymore. So getting out to play pool and stuff, only sometimes. Average Joe says, I'm up in Lubbock. Now, Texas. Okay, we got some great comments here. Scott Robson from Beantown, what's up? Jabari McIntosh moved to Florida for 5 years. I'm from the Bay Area, California. All right, Jabari, I'm going to pick your brain here. Jabari McIntosh says new jobs being posted every day for Bay Area web developer jobs. So, Jabari, you are in the Bay Area. So we see this, we see videos, we see these ads, we see people, oh, everyone's leaving California. Like, do you, in the next 5 years, where do you see the job market for software developers in California? Do you see it being about the same as it is right now? Do you see it being more opportunities or less? I want to hear from the Californians. William Claybrook says, it's a great drive, but from LA to Vegas is 4 hours. Oh, that's not bad at all. Because Scott says a lot of people leaving LA to move to Vegas because it's cheaper and not too far away. Well, that's it too. That's the other component of living in California is that it's pretty freaking expensive. Like, especially in LA and the Bay Area. I'm sure other cities too, but I think in general. I was on Zillow the other night. One thing I do, because I run a business outside of RTC, and part of that business is land investment. And I've been looking to acquire another property. And I was just curious, like investing in California. I'm really interested. Yeah, it's out of my league right now. Like it's crazy. You would have like a burn-out trailer on a 1/10 of an acre. You know, I don't know how many square feet that is, but it would be like that for like $60K. I'm like in like Barstow. I'm like, seriously? That ain't right. And then like I was looking at these places that, I mean, it's fascinating because obviously like the quality it's almost like two different worlds. California to me is totally it's in the States, but it's also its own world. It's kind of like Texas. It is in its own world. Chiquita says more opportunities. Yeah, I mean, there are so many great comments here, developers. We're going to talk about all these, hopefully. Let me go back up here. Jabari says move to Florida. We got to that one. Okay, Chiquita says, what people don't understand is that what is happening in Cali is going to happen to the whole USA. Chiquito, I love that comment. I don't think I need to expand on that. Cali162 says, but getting remote job is not easy, though. No, you're right. It's not. But I think with the Rona, I think more companies are going to be more forgiving with that because I did a video, I think it was last year, about your odds of getting hired as a remote developer as a newbie, and like the answer was pretty much zero. And the reason for that is not because I enjoy bringing that bad news, but it's because that you don't have that trust factor as a new developer, and you don't have the experience. So number one, your employer isn't sure if they can trust you alone because you haven't proven it yet. And number two, you're probably going to have a lot of questions. And oftentimes being on site to ask those questions is a lot more beneficial for you and your company rather than staying at home alone, slacking with your senior developer when you have problems. And when you're first starting out, you are having a lot of problems because not only are you trying to learn how to code in the real world, but also working with others, also just getting your credentials set up and stuff. To be fair, there is someone in our Discord right now whose first job is a remote position. And I think, I don't know how long they've been working for a few months. So I think right around when Rona, sorry, there's a train going off. Right around when Rona hit big in the US, when people were really starting to talk about it, I think that's when he got hired. I could be totally wrong about that, but I know he's only been working for a few months. Let's see. Fennec Rand says, I smashed the like button. That's the spirit. Thanks, Fennec. Appreciate it. Richard Me 123, what's up? Hello, wishing all a great day. Callie 162 says, let's see. What is Callie 162? These comments really jumped on me. Hold on a sec. My poof on my hair is getting cut off, developers. I gotta poof it out. Hold on. Callie162 says, what music genre do developers listen to? Techno? Average Joe says EDM. For me, I like listening to vaporwave, vapor funk. There's a 24/7 vapor funk station. I just love it. It puts me in the zone. I also like listening to really weird lounge. That really isn't helpful for me to do anything, but if I'm just like chilling out and wanting to get into a different space and just get distracted with something new, because like the same music plays at every grocery store and like every radio station. It's like I need to be deprogrammed. So I go to like the stuff absolutely no one has ever heard of, or no one would ever have the audacity to play on the radio or grocery store sound system, which is vapor funk and 70s lounge records. Chiquito says more opportunities. Yeah, I did go to that comment, but that is something I want to talk about too, just really quick about the bigger populations. Like, there's this saying, you can make anything work if you work it. Like, if you live in BFE, you can still make it work, but you gotta work it. You can still get a remote position as your first job, but you got to work it. If you're living in a bigger city, there are going to be some barriers, okay? It's going to be a higher cost of living, groceries, city taxes. Listen, I find states really interesting because, like I said, I am a land investor in my other life with part of my business. So I'm constantly researching the trends and how things are changing. Tax rates. Chicago's tax rate, their sales tax rate is 10%. It's over 10%. It's like 10.25%. That's insane. Yes, okay, it's only a few more percentage points than the typical state, but once it adds up with your property tax, some people are paying on a per month basis more in property tax than their mortgage. Believe it. Oops, I almost threw my mic off. I'm getting so excited talking about this. But what I'm saying is, so that's something you have to consider if you're moving to one of these bigger cities. And this is for my international audience too, because I know a lot of people are trying to get that work visa to get in Silicon Valley. You got to have some money set aside because your first month, you're probably going to be dropping $10,000 on your security. Okay, so let's go through it. A security deposit. What's a security deposit? Well, your first payment to your landlord is first, last security deposit. And if your rent's $3,000 a month, you're at least paying $6,000 for your rent and probably $3,000 for that security. That's $9,000 right there off the bat. It's expensive, but In return, you get a world-class opportunity to work at one of these FANGs. And as we know, even just by seeing some of these YouTubers, ex-Googlers, ex-Facebooks, all you have to do is have that credential. That's $1 million plus credential. You put that on your resume, you don't have to, yes, they have to lift a finger, but compared to developers who haven't been at Facebook or these other FANGs, they've got the golden road. They've got the golden road. They have the world in the palm of their hand. That is a credential that is $1 million plus in value. Even if you're only at that company for a year, which is what a lot of developers do, they stay 1 year, they go to the next, they stay 1 year, they go to the next. It's how they get their biggest job. It's how they get their biggest salary raises as well. It's not like they're asking for raises at these companies. They go to their next job and they get $60,000 more than they did at their last job. These are opportunities that come to you living in big cities, but there's a big investment. Also, too, Andrielle was saying, I think it was Andrielle, you're in Texas, right? Because most of your family's in Dallas. This is something that YouTubers, this is not a personal help channel, but I can just tell you, just right off the bat, we all have our issues. Whether they're family issues, friends issues, personal issues, emotional, mental, physical, we all have our issues. We all have our crosses to bear. And a lot of us cannot move. We cannot move. Financial issues. So it's not like everyone has this opportunity to just pack up and move to these places that have these opportunities. But if you're able to, it's definitely something you should be considering right now. If you're single and you're not being held down with a huge mortgage or some big financial thing where you cannot move at the moment, you're mobile, start expanding your job search. Some people, this is just, I've heard over the last couple of months some of the most inaccurate things about the tech field and how it's just like apocalyptic. Like, oh, no one's hiring at the FANGs. Like, I heard that. I heard someone say that at a virtual conference and I about died. And I was like, that's just not true. 2 days previously, I was interviewing a guy working at Twitter who said, we are freaking hiring. Send them over. Send them over. And we're working remotely. Send them over. The opportunities are certainly there. Rural, urban, suburban, whether you're in the States or overseas. I know I have a lot of East Indian viewers. There's lots of opportunities going on in India right now. I know that for a fact. So don't let these Debbie Downers get you down about the opportunities because it's opportunity central right now. Things are weird, but if you're holding back because of these things that are going on right now, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're able-bodied and you're able to and you want a job, start freaking applying. They're there. They're out there. They're out there. Don't let these external mosquitoes, that's really, they're just flying in your ear, being annoying. Like, don't let them hold you back. Go get that certificate. Go get that education. Go get that job. Let's go to these comments. Jason M. says, Seattle area is getting that way too. Maybe in reference to Fennec's comment. Tampa Bay area, it's crazy. They have job offers for $18 and $29 an hour, LOL. I swear I'm moving from here. It's that sunshine tax, Jason. It's that sunshine tax where, oh, you want to live by a beach and have nice weather? You're going to pay, and we're not going to pay you. Some of the most insulting jobs or salaries for dev jobs have come straight out of Florida. I actually used to live in Florida too. I love Florida. Let's see. Wesley Wayne says, yeah, those house prices don't work for me in Cali. I just don't get it. I do get it, but I also, it's just crazy. It's just insane. Like literally a bombed out frickin' 1987 trailer, single wide, on 7,000 square feet, $50K in frickin' Desertsville. I was like, come on. What are you doing? It's wild. Robbo the Fossil says parole officer issues. I don't know what that's in reference to, but the comment made me laugh. Thank you, Robbo. MA Specialist says, when I listen to music, the voices in my head just get louder. Andriel has this comment, still waiting for my business cards to come in, and when they do, I'm leaving a stack at each local business. Andriel, do it. Do it. I used to do that. I didn't do the stacks, but that's a great idea. I used to just stick them in the cork boards, or even for like better effect, I'd ask the person at the front desk if they could put this on the cork board, or if I had permission to. So they'd give them a chance to look at it and be like, oh, okay. Wherever you can get that exposure is great if you're freelancing. And again, product placement. RealToughCandy.io's featured course this month is Freelance Newbie. If you're looking to start your freelance business in web development, go get that course. It'll help you get started. You can get your first client by the weekend, not lying. But you have to follow the curriculum. And it's changed a lot of people's businesses and lives, and it's just a great course. I'm proud to present that course, and I'm honored to be a part of people's freelance journeys. But Andriel is right on with this. Just getting out there and spreading the message. And this is something that needs to be done by everyone trying to get a job, whether it's a gig, contract, 9 to 5, whatever you're freaking trying to do, you have to get your name out there. That's step number 1. People need to know you exist. The jobs that you see on Indeed.com are the leftovers. If you want to get prime pickings, you have to start getting your name out there. You have to start making friends. If you're not a people person, you have to force yourself. I know that sounds glib. This is coming from someone who really doesn't like socializing. I know it probably sounds weird or that I'm lying. I promise you I'm not. I don't like going out. I don't like talking to people most days. It's tough for me. I'm highly sensitive, so even one interaction can mean that I can't talk to anyone else for the rest of the day because I have to recover. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true. But the only thing that helps me get over not that my natural inclinations is saying you have to do this. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're just going to be in the same position you were in yesterday, and you weren't happy yesterday. So what are you doing? You have to get out there and let people know that you exist, and you have to let them know what you're trying to do. You have to be assertive. I know it's easier, much easier said than done. But once you start doing it, it gets so much easier. Like, I remember 2 years ago, someone was like, RTC, you should start doing live streams. And I pretty much started laughing because live streams to me were so terrifying. Like, oh, they're all going to judge me. Okay, who cares? They judged you. Now what? Like, I get some really horrible comments on this channel. I'm over it. I don't care. So you have to desensitize yourself, or I find that desensitizing myself in that way makes me better, helps me create better content for people, helps me help people better, and makes me better at what I do. So whether it's putting stacks of business cards in places or just getting out to your first meetup, the first step is the hardest, but you can do it. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm not a great programmer. I'm not amazing programmer. I'm decent. I'm actually really good at databases, which people by now, I've said that many times. I should have been a DBA. But I landed my first role in a senior position. I asserted myself. I told them what I wanted. I came in knowing exactly what I wanted, knowing exactly what I could offer that company, and knowing not exactly, but having a pretty good idea of how I could add value to their business. And if you can do that, you got the job. Remember, it's not just you applying to the job. You're competing against dozens, if not hundreds of other people. So the more you can convince your interviewer, the powers that be, that you can make them money, that you can solve their problems, you're going to be fine. And if you can add a little swagger, a little bit of confidence to it, you're totally going to be fine. Again, even if you have to fake it, okay. Most of us, that saying, fake it till you make it, like, it is, like, it's kind of disingenuous in some regards, but in other regards, it's like, all right, I'm not feeling it, but I know I have to do this, so I'm just going to do it. And then once it's done, it's over with. William Claybrook says, check out the book Good Morning, Good Life by Amy Landino. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the recommendation. That's the other thing that's been helping me lately too, is reading more books. So I'm going to add that one to the list. I got a really nice comment here. Lawson Williams says, I like the energy in this group and coming from you, RTC. Thanks, Lawson. Yeah, this is a really great group. We have, if you're not a member of the Discord, I don't know if you're a Discord person, but if you want to check in, there's no pressure at all. But for people who do like Discord, we have a Discord room. We talk about programming, of course. We also help each other out with resume reviews. We critique each other's portfolios. Some great peer support there if you're interested. Lawson also says, can't wait to become a programmer or coder. I mean, I know that energy. I remember that feeling too. The anticipation of getting into this industry and then finally making it and saying, holy crap, I did it. Because I have a couple of college degrees, but they're not related to coding. Or they're not related to software development. I have some IT education, college education, but I mean, really, it doesn't really relate. I mean, it kind of does, but it doesn't teach you algorithm. It doesn't give me the good stuff, So this was largely, it was completely a self-taught venture when I was learning. And to get to that point where I could say, wow, I did this myself. With the help of others, I had a great support group with like the meetups and stuff, but like getting from 0 point to 0.1, I guess getting from step 0 to step 1 would probably be more accurate. Just getting that one big step, finally getting into the fold of the industry was so validating. And once you get that core, everything just starts snowballing. The opportunities are being thrown your way. The biggest thing is to just not give up. Because there are a lot of exit points. There are a lot of excuses that we make. They're very easy to make. And I mean, honestly, it's really tough to stay focused. The thing that everyone wants you to do is stay focused on them. That includes me. I know that. Okay, I'm not excluding myself. But because of that, it's really hard to stay focused on one thing exclusively. And so we find ourselves losing a lot of time that way. And there's so much great material out there. There's so much to consume. I have 3 drinks right here. I haven't even cracked my CO2. Drinking my Caribou though. There's a lot to consume. But once you get to that first step is the toughest, is the most rewarding. And once you get there, you won't want to go back. The people who go back are the people who don't get to that first step. We were talking last Friday about this comic I saw. So it's this miner he's digging his way to the gold mine, but he has no idea how close he is. He's literally just a few inches away from this gold mine. He's been working on it for months. And he says, I just can't do this anymore. And he turns around and he leaves. And he never realizes how close he was to that gold mine. That's where people exit. That's where people give up. That's where people leave. That's where people turn their backs. Once you're in it, I will say, burnout is real. I have seen, especially women, because I don't want to start a war here, but I think a lot of times women do have more responsibilities, especially with children, single moms in particular. But I mean, either way, because I do see more women leave the career field than men. I do see men also leave the career field though. So either way, burnout, no matter who you are, it's a real thing. It's something to be careful for. Keep an eye out. I have seen some people leave because of that. But no one ever left. I don't know of anyone. I don't know of anybody out there who ditched software development in totality because they weren't getting paid enough. Now, these beginner jobs, you're probably not going to get 6 figures, but you're doing okay. You're doing okay. And by the year 1, you're doing a lot better. You could be making 6 figures by that second year for sure if you play your cards right. And by your 3rd year, It's just, I mean, it just keeps getting better and better. I love it. I love it so much. And it's just because this is a rapid, like there's a lot of iterations in this career field, like literally and figuratively. Things happen really fast. And so you're getting these raises fast. You're making these, you're doing these level ups. You're going to these trainings. Like, this isn't a snooze-worthy career field either. And so that is really exciting. Let's go to the comments. Donovan says, having that I made it feeling is the best feeling in the world. It feels like you won $1 million the first time around. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Callie says, 162 says, RTC, can we watch parody video just for fun? It's really funny. It's parody on so-called inspirational videos. Search for every inspirational video. I would, but I like to vet things before I just blindly go into it. I don't want to get rickrolled, Callie. I think you can appreciate me on that. Maybe next live stream, I'll check it out. Every inspirational video ever. It probably is hilarious. I just want to vet it first. Jason M says, I was in IT for 14 years and switched to developer this year. I only have some college under my belt. I currently work for an automotive group doing front-end projects. Good for you, Jason. Jason, let me ask you, was that, do you think, well, I probably know the answer to this. I'm going to just guess and say that your 14 years in IT did help you a little, if not a lot, in becoming a front-end developer. But I'm curious what specifically helped you. Like, what in your IT background helped you with the concepts? Or how did that background, I guess maybe the more general question, how did your IT background help you become a developer? The Bayless Code says, I still have the sense of wonder, even though I've been coding for years. Don't give up. Yes. I know, same. There are some days, now burnout, again, is real. I've felt it even though I do my own thing now, which I totally love. Like, if I hadn't have exited the 9 to 5, I would have been, I would have been super burnt out. But even doing the stuff that I do as RTC sometimes can get really taxing, because when you own your own business, there is no 9 to 5. You're doing everything. And even though I've hired, I have other people do a lot of the stuff I don't want to do. And so that has really helped me with the burnout, preventing it. But still, there are some days where I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to learn about hooks. I just can't. But other days where I've taken a good rest and I come back to it, it's like, this is really rad. And doing the things that I found fun in the first place, rather than making it this drudgery-filled exercise in just coding things for, like, when I was in enterprise, I did e-commerce. I worked for a data company. And so it was an IBM partner, and we were doing a lot of e-commerce stuff. So that, to me, just like I flash to my time in enterprise where, it's not fun. It's not fun because there are a lot of different constrictions, and there are a lot of different rules where you don't have control, and there isn't that wonder, because working 9 to 5 isn't a wonderful thing. Getting paid is, but usually the processes are pretty cut and dry and transactional, rather than experimental or giving yourself time to actually just kind of, I don't know, just enjoy it. It's more about deadlines and getting, understandably so. But for me, taking a break and coming back to it really kind of reignites that. Also, too, hearing about other people getting into the industry and hearing about their first paycheck, hearing about their first project, hearing about their interviews. We have someone on our Discord right now. This was the person who I had referenced on last week's live stream. They had, according to them, a good portfolio, but they weren't even getting clicked on. They weren't getting callbacks or anything. This person got a callback, and I think they even had a take-home coding test or something. They're doing it. And that is just, it's so great to see when people get in this industry, because if you can resist the burnout, there's a lot of great stuff waiting for you. Let's check these comments. Jason M says, working with a lot of different broken configurations helps with troubleshooting skills. Working with users helped me put myself in their shoes while doing projects. Interesting. Thanks, Jason. Cutscene says, Paradoodly Doo, I want to make sure that YouTube is good to learn. Okay, Paradoodly Doo. Paradoodly is keeping things civilized in the chat. Thank you, Para. Kevin Edmond. How's it going? I'm in IT now, 9 years, in the process of trying to find a development role. Keep pushing, Kevin, especially because you're in IT. Everyone who I've talked to who's come from an IT background has had, I'm not going to say they haven't had any problems getting jobs, but I find that people with the IT background, it does help quite a lot because just like the general processes are a little more familiar. Yeah, I know quite a few people, even Donovan. I think, Donovan, you have an IT background. I know you were doing IT stuff before doing development. He started off doing the lamp stack. I actually interviewed Donovan a couple months back. Great interview, and I hope he can come back on the channel soon and talk more about the industry and just getting started in it, because he has a lot to share. He has a lot of experience with helping newbies and getting people leveled up. Also, I want to give a shout out to is it Helga Olsen? No, it's Olga Houston. Quite the distinct difference. I want to give a shout out to, I said Helga, Houston. Olga Houston. Olga Houston is our newest channel member, and I want to say thank you for your support with that. Olga, if you're here, thank you very much. We also have quite a few other channel supporters here. We have Donovan. You can tell they have a little green name and a piece of candy showing how long they've been members for. Donovan is one of the oldest standing members right now. We also have William Claybrook, and also we have our patrons here. We have people like Donovan who have been hanging out and supporting RTC, so thank you. We had a good question here. Robbo the Fossil says, I'm the same. This is introversion. Interactions with strangers is exhausting, but you have to train yourself to do it. It's like a muscle. Work it and you'll get more fit. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's my experience too. You have to force yourself to do it. And it's funny too, because I'm so like self-conscious when I'm talking with people. I rarely have the chance to think that the person I'm talking to is feeling the exact same way. In fact, I don't think I've ever thought that unless the person was very visibly upset. Most conversations, it's just me thinking about people are so concerned about their own self and how they're looking. They never think to realize, I think maybe that person might be thinking the same exact thing. Oh my God, can they see my underwear? Like these things where you're just like panicking. Like the whole entire conversation. You don't want to you want to save face and save yourself. And you don't think that they're thinking those exact same things, but a lot of people probably are. Jason says, I really enjoy talking and interacting with folks. Sometimes I think it's going to get me in trouble. Rabo says, I've gotten better at the social thing. It took a while. Soham says, talk about Hacktoberfest. Dude, I did for like an hour. Probably for like a half hour. I talked all I could about Hacktoberfest. Now we're going to go to some audience questions. We had one from Andrielle. This is a really good one. I was wondering if we can talk about Vue versus React. I'm currently a React developer, but thinking about picking up Vue. All right. So let's start this off. This is going to be some good audience participation. Is Gwen Faraday here? Gwen is like a Vue guru. I had her on the channel a few months ago, maybe like 2 months ago. And we talked about Vue in depth. So if you're interested in Vue, because I think we did talk about Vue versus React. I don't remember exactly. I would say check that video out, but let's talk about it anyways right here so we can get some more voices in the scene. If you're a React developer right now, Vue is going to be, I don't want to say a cinch because things really it really isn't that easy. It's all relative. So Vue syntax, I think tell me a little bit more about your situation, Andrea. Like, how long have you been working with React, and what's your reason for? I'm just curious. I'm not like trying to grill you, but what is your reason for wanting to pick up Vue? Because right now I can just say, just in a general sense, that the syntax is a lot easier and things are a lot more intuitive. Maybe not a lot more, but in some ways marginally more, in some ways more in general, and in other ways a lot more. It's a mixed bag, but in general it's just more intuitive. Also, I mean, if you're at the job search phase, I think it can be a good thing, because if you're a new developer and you're billing yourself as knowing React, companies want your tech stack to reflect what they're looking for rather. One thing though, there are definitely a lot more openings for React than Vue, but we are seeing a little more here and there. I think the benefit for new developers in general is that if people are having a hard time with React, then Vue might be a more gentle introduction to it. Because what Evan Yu did, who's the creator of it, or the guy behind it, he took the best of what React and these other frameworks could offer, and he took it, and then he eliminated the bad things about it and made those bad things into good things, if that makes sense. Surprisingly, I actually worked with Vue in enterprise. My senior developer was really obsessed with it. And so regardless of what the project he goes, from here on out, we are doing Vue projects. All right. So that was another thing I had to pick up. Oh my gosh, I always sigh and like roll my eyes when talking about these things, because my place of employment was very dysfunctional. We were doing like 3 or 4 legacy frameworks. We were doing projects with no frameworks. And then we were doing future projects with Vue. So that was something I had to learn very quickly, because I was a new developer and it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. So let's see what's going on. Robbo the Fossil says Vue React Svelte. Svelte is awesome. Robbo says, but I code for myself, not an employer. Okay, Andriel says she's been doing React for a couple years. Create React app can be a little bit of a pain. Here, I would say, so you've been doing React for a few years. I think Vue, you could pick it up. I mean, I'm not going to say no problem. And I'm not a Vue developer, so I really, unfortunately, can't give you an inside look at the inner workings of Vue and their plus sides, because I don't really use it in a meaningful way. With React, one of the benefits is that you may find more uses for it in freelancing. I don't know. I hope some more people can chime in on this. She also says, I'm wondering if Vue is the future. However, from what you say, React isn't going anywhere. I don't think Vue is the future. This is the thing about the framework. So going back to my time in enterprise, like at the time, does anyone here remember Backbone? I think that's what it was called. There are so many of these older frameworks. Like the idea of these front-end frameworks is not that new. It's like, I think Backbone came out like mid-2000s, maybe even 2009. Maybe earlier than that. But these frameworks you got to realize, they're all trying to do the same thing. And so some of them do things a little better than the other one. But I mean, to like say one is just like completely revolutionary over the other is false. Like React is trying to do the same thing as Angular, and Svelte is trying to do the same thing. It's these components. We're going to the component level in front end, and this is how we do it through these frameworks. That's the end of it. Anything else is just a PS, extra side thing of, oh, and by the way, Vue does this. By the way, we have this amazing library. They're taking things and going to a component level. Read the de facto definition of React. That's what it does. Anything else is an add-on. But the big thing about React, and why I don't think it's going anywhere, and why a lot of people don't think it's going anywhere, is number one, it has backing by one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Facebook probably isn't going anywhere. And it has that name recognition. So with something like Svelte, even though it has some amazing features, it was created by a guy that people aren't familiar with, even though as developers we know it has some really sweet spots. But when you're trying to sell it to people who don't know tech, what are the words they recognize? It's the same word that people recognize when they see your resume, when they saw that you worked at Facebook for a year. Oh, Facebook? Give them the job. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, anything else is just a side note. They see that it's Facebook. Yes. Scoop it up, put it on the payroll. Let's get to work. With something like Svelte, something like Vue, we have these smaller startups with founders who are software engineers who understand how cool these things are and who know the granular differences between Vue, Backbone, Angular, AngularJS, Angular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Svelte, and all the other frameworks that will be coming out in the next year. We know there will be many more. I think that's one of the big reasons React isn't going anywhere. Number 2, the online tutorials in React they're like tribbles. They're really high quality too. If you want a cash grab and you don't know how to code, but you still want to grab some cash from some developers, do a course on React. Because that's where the money is. That's where that's where the mind share is. I think Vue and Svelte are also, they do serve their purposes, and there are companies, again, that are using them, but they're really small, and the founders know what these frameworks can do. And I think when you're asking yourself, well, should I learn this? Should I learn that? Try to compare it. It all depends on what your goal is or goals are. Like in the next 6 months to a year, if you're trying to use it as like a bargaining chip for a raise or like thinking about applying to a job, ask yourself if that tech is being used in the area you're going to apply to. Some cities actually are more centric or more like Vue centric. Some cities are more React centric. That's kind of a poor example because I really don't know of like it's not fair to say Las Vegas is React centric. But there are, clusters of startups where certain technologies are more prevalent. For example, in the Midwest, .NET exploded in the 90s, and we still see that now. You could go to these small, I've seen a lot of openings, and I mean dozens. I've seen that. To me, that's a lot in some of these rural areas where you see dozens of openings. North of Des Moines, Ames, Iowa. No one's moving to Des Moines, Iowa, or Ames, Iowa. No one's trying to move there from the coasts, but they have these openings. .NET developers paying $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, which is really good for a smaller town like Ames. So I think that would be the first thing to ask is what would be your purpose for learning it, and if that is something you could work. You know what I mean? If you could work it in to your tool belt. I hate using that phrase, but if you could work it into your tech stack. And say, I have these Vue skills. I'm gonna go build some cool stuff with that, and I'm gonna use it in a portfolio, and I'm gonna apply to these jobs where Vue is one of the tech things that they use. Learning it to learn it could be fun too, but for most people on this channel, they're trying to, map it to their career and get paid. Let's see. Robbo says East St. Louis is an Angular town. Or it's not. I just made that up. That would be so funny. That could be, I might meme that and just take towns, these towns in the middle of nowhere, like Ames, Iowa is a .NET town. The real towns of genius. Should I open this and drink this? By the way, developers, thank you for tuning in today. We're talking about Hacktoberfest. I think we talked about that quite enough. I've been on this page for the whole stream. I suppose you could look at the Department of Finance if that is something that you find more interesting than Hacktoberfest. We're talking about Hacktoberfest that turned into Shiznit Toberfest because of the spam. We're talking about California exodus and the impact, if any, that has on tech jobs. Honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think these components that we talked about that's leading to California's lack of growth, I really don't think that's going to affect our career field much. as far as anything, as far as rent prices in the Bay Area, as far as cost of living stuff, as far as job opportunities. I don't see it. Then again, I'm not in California, and I have to be honest, I don't have that direct insight that other people working there might. My business is not located there, so take it as you will. However, I did want to bring that to people's attention because it is interesting. And I've been seeing a lot of California plates here recently. Maybe you will too in your area. Also, I don't know what else we're talking about. Just whatever else people want to in the chat. So let's see what we got going here. 36 people in the chat, 44 likes. I'm liking that ratio. That's pretty sweet. But if you haven't yet, please hit the like button. We are going and taking it to the morning into the afternoon in Central Standard Time. Robbo says, okay, my 1-year-old son needs me. I'm here, but not here, if you know what I mean. I know what you mean. Enjoy the convo, RTC. Thanks, Robbo. I haven't seen you on a live stream yet, so it's good meeting you, and thanks for checking in. Andriel says, I'm just discovering hooks and context API. I feel like I've just fired. I know it seems silly how I just talked about learning Vue. No, I'm glad you brought that up, though, because there is this thing in this industry and other industries. Shiny, dangly thing syndrome. Shiny, dangly toy syndrome, where it's this new thing. I mean, I was talking to Ian at the Bayless Code the other month. I don't know how many months ago this was, but we were talking. He was in my Discord. We were talking about Rust. Now, this is the type of tech that excites me. WebAssembly, I mean, I'm pumped for that. I'm continuously, daily pumped for it. WebAssembly and Rust. And we were talking about doing, just not collaborating or not like taking it like serious. We're just throwing the idea around of creating a React application with the Rust backend, I think it was. It was just something that just like, no, it was Svelte. That's what it was. Svelte with Rust backend. And I about lost my mind. My brain exploded. Like, put a stick of TNT in a cuckoo clock and then light it. And that was my brain. Just, I was smitten. And I had so much other stuff to do. I never got to the project, but I was researching it and seeing all the stuff I needed to do. And I was just so intrigued. And I love going down these rabbit holes. But that is something that I think is a blessing and a curse of this industry, because there is always something cooler to look at. Like Vue, pretty cool. But if you keep sticking to technologies that you're learning at the moment, those are pretty cool too. It's just that when something new comes around, it's like really cool. So there's always that, it's almost like an internal battle, like heart and mind over reality. Like, I know I need to work on this project. I know I need to study X, Y, and Z, but I really like the idea of Rust and Svelte working together. And like looking at Rust tutorials, like, what am I doing? I don't have time for this. I made time for it, but yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's always something to distract us. Like when Svelte came out, people like, and this was not even that long ago. This was like last year. People were losing their skulls because there is a lot of cool stuff about it, but it's like, okay. And believe it or not, there are some people who just like coding just to code, not because they're getting paid a lot to do it. It's a dying and endangered species, but those people are out there. And for people who join this career field because they do find it interesting, these types of technologies are rewarding, but we're also getting on this hamster wheel where it keeps getting faster and faster, and it's really hard to jump off. And once you've been out of the industry for a few years, that hamster wheel is just going so fast, it's really hard to jump back in. Like, I know a few people who they were in tech in the 90s, in the early 2000s, and right now, they went to another career field or took a break or whatever, went to Costa Rica to find their spirits, whatever, and they came back and they're like, oh my gosh, none of this looks like, this stuff is just crazy. This tempo is just too much. But again, going back to that thing we were talking about earlier of like, the speed of this career field and the iterations. It's a really fast moving career field. Paradoodly Plug in the links. Appreciate it. Hey, Benit says, I'm 16, learning to code for the past 5 months. Well, congrats, Benit. Keep it up. Beverly to J. Austin. How's it going? Let's see. David Dickey says, in your opinion, is something like Microsoft Prose mature enough to use in production apps for use in backend services? Basically, this amounts to automated code generation by data examples. David, I have to be transparent. This is my first time hearing of Microsoft Prose. I'm going to add it to my list of things to research, though, because this sounds interesting. Amounts to automated code generation by data examples. I mean... yeah, I would need to research it more to really give my opinion on that. Sorry. Let's see. Jabari? You've left a comment before. Sorry, there's something in my eye. I don't know what it is. I think it's my pupil. Can you talk about the best places to find junior developer jobs? Yes, that is something I can talk about. So... now, I know this is going to be... if I was on Stack Overflow, which I'm not, ever, but if I was going to be on Stack Overflow, there would be like a banner saying, this answer is considered controversial. Watch this. Ah! Oh, that's kind of good. Sparkling coconut water, grapefruit fizz. It's a little empty, though. I feel like they put stevia in this. Which I'm not, like, patently opposed to stevia. Oh, yeah, they did. It just gives me that empty feeling, you know? I'm going to stick with my latte. So this is going to be a controversial, unpopular answer. But this is what I've found. The places where it's... so let me just make sure I'm reading the question correctly. Can you talk about the best places to find junior developer jobs? When you say best, do you mean most abundant places? Or the places to find the most abundant amount of junior developer jobs? The places where there's like a better chance of you getting hired? Let's just assume, because I'm not trying to like be a jerk about it or like... excuse my French, I'm not trying to be like a D-bag about it. But there are a few there are some differences. But let me just say, in general, the best places to find a junior developer job are the places where no one else is looking. Because here, and now we're going to get into the climax of this live stream. Because as a junior... the reality is that you have an uphill battle. And I'm going to sound glib here, but you have to realize that most employers don't want juniors. Why is that? Because they haven't proven that they can work in teams. They don't have experience. They don't know what it's like working IRL, etc., etc. So your job as a new person is to convince that employer that you're worth the investment. That is very hard to do. That is very hard to do. People in my network, some of these people have been looking for a job for over a year, and it breaks my heart. It sucks. A lot of them aren't able to move or expand their job search. The biggest problem is that there are a lot of developers in the junior stages and just not the job openings, because the job, at least in America, the employment terrain has really changed. Employers are really hesitant to do in-depth training. Now, if you're working for the United States Postal Service, they can train you in 5 minutes. Here's a little scanner, beep. Trust me, I worked there twice. So they give you, if you're a clerk, they'll give you a little handheld scanner if you're throwing those packages. Okay, here's what you do, RTC. Grab the package, grab the scanner, hit the button, throw it in the appropriate zip code. I literally got trained in 3 minutes. Probably less than that. 10 seconds of that training was the guy who said, okay, you can go take a cigarette break now, even if you don't smoke. I said, after this training, I might take it up. I feel like I do need a cigarette after this. Thank you. He thought that was really funny. But I really, truly, I don't smoke anymore, but I really wanted a cigarette after that training. Employers are really hesitant to train. And so junior developers are more of a liability. And this is true with any professional career field, but because we do have so many juniors coming into the career field, that it's savage. It's savage, and it can be cutthroat. So I could say, well, you know what, California, LA, I don't know if this is true or not. Okay, just, insert city here. Let's go New York City. New York City, I'm not going to go with New York City because I know this is not true. Fort Lauderdale has 150 junior developer job openings. They want people specializing in the MERN stack. They're hiring now. Now, to me, that's like, okay, that's awesome. 150, let's go. There's going to be floods of people going there. And unless you are that 1%, which someone has to be a 1%er, right? Maybe we have some 1%ers in the audience. I'm definitely not one of them. Had a lot of interviews, but I had more ghostings than interviews as a junior. I applied to 60-some jobs before I got my first one. So we have all these people flooding and converging on these job openings in these cities. It's really competition. Yes, the job openings are there, the opportunities are there, but you also have a lot of competition. Going back to the whole thing about cities. This is another thing that has to be negotiated. You have to negotiate the terrain of all these people wanting these jobs. The best place that you can go to land a junior developer job is where no one else is looking, because employers are desperate. What do I mean by that? BFE. It could be BFE Bangladesh, BFE Antarctica, BFE Cameroon, BFE Canada, BFE United States. BFE, it's code for the middle of nowhere. And when I say middle of nowhere, I basically mean that big mass of land between Los Angeles and New York City, excluding a few cities here and there. So we have the coasts. Those are kind of off limits for juniors who want an easy in, because there's so much competition. Now, going inland, you could probably find some .NET stuff in, like, I don't know, what's like a small town in Washington. But we have, at least in the States, and I know I have a lot of out of country viewers, but this applies to any country. We have these areas where we have job opportunities, but no one wants to move there. Why? Because they're not New York City. A lot of these towns are really undesirable, and a lot of times there's just nothing to do. But if you can make that sacrifice for a year, you have it made. You have it made. Now, again, I know a lot of people aren't able to move because of many different reasons, various reasons we talked about earlier. But if you are able to, I think it's definitely something to consider. All of my interviews, all of my callbacks, except for 2 or 3 of them, since when did I start applying to jobs? I was freelancing before. I was freelancing 2018, late 2017, early 2018. All of that time, these were places in the middle, and like places that no one cares about in Michigan. Places that no one cares about in Iowa. Illinois, outside Chicago. There is like an entire state of Illinois that does not include Chicago. Who knew? But once you start going further and pushing further, there are a ton, okay? A metric crap ton of jobs, but they're not desirable living locations. And that is a sacrifice that most people don't want to take, which is exactly why you have an awesome chance of landing a job as a junior. My first job was a senior developer position. They were so desperate, they hired me. I didn't have any enterprise experience. I'd freelanced a few projects using WordPress. They weren't using WordPress. This was an enterprise level. And when I say enterprise, I mean we were working for enterprise level. We were contracting with these companies, doing these huge, literally $1 million+ line projects. I was maintaining $1 million+ line projects across the United States. They took a chance on me because I came into the interview knowing exactly what I wanted, how I could add value to that company, and I didn't have any competition. Give it a thought. Give it a thought. Give it a thought. If you, it's just a year. It's just a year. I mean, life goes by like that. What's a year? If you're able to. I mean, plus we have the internet. Time goes by so fast. We have home hop. Like, no one's going out and partying right now anyway. What's it matter? We're all stuck at home anyway. What's it matter if you move to the Dakotas or Missouri or some of these states, Oklahoma? No one's going outside for the next year, it looks like. Just something to think about. And this is a topic, as you may have noticed, that really gets me wound up. I enjoy talking about the tech and the implementations, but I'm very excited and very motivated to talk about jobs because, again, it's that economic freedom that really changes people's lives. Line 57 of a React application is not changing anyone's life. It's inconveniencing some people who are trying to buy mauve lipstick at a discount outlet online when the add to cart button doesn't work. But by and large, a line of code is secondary to the life transforming this career field does for people. And yes, I do realize like these lines of code are important. I'm not don't misquote me there. Don't misunderstand me there. But the bigger thing is for me that gets me motivated is seeing people just take that first step, getting that job, and then hearing about it like a year later and seeing where these people are, seeing what they're doing, working on these amazing projects, these just huge projects, getting paid, being at a place that they like. This career field comes with some sacrifice. It's not easy. And again, if you're able to do that first year and just go with it, you're going to be just fine. When I found out where they were when I was in the Air Force, I found out where they were stationing me. I almost died. It was like the worst location I could think of. It's like, what am I doing with my life? It turned out to be one of the best things ever. You never know. You see something on paper and you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm screwed. But then it happens and it's like, okay, I mean, it could be worse. And then you look back in retrospect, you're like, oh, that was actually pretty rad. So don't dismiss these rural or not even rural, these jobs in cities that maybe you heard something negative about or that you're not really interested in. At least go there and check out the scene if you're able to. Now, again, I know a lot of people have families, significant others and families, so there are those constrictions sometimes, but if you're able to, just try it. If you really hate it, try someplace else. I mean, we have 50 states. Let's go to the comments. Jabari McIntosh, what towns in BFE are you talking about? Jabari, what towns am I not talking about? What towns am I not talking about? Madison, Wisconsin, Ames, Iowa, Des Moines, Iowa. I'm talking about states, the Dakotas. Now, again, go on Google Maps. Go on Google Maps and go to any state. I'm talking about Provo, Utah. I'm talking about Prescott, Arizona. I'm talking about Lubbock, Texas. There are openings, and now you may need to alter the tech that you're learning because a lot of these places are using some more legacy stuff. But that's why it's so important to learn development processes rather than specific implementations, which is why I started RealToughCandy.io. I have a course coming up in December, or is it January? Sometime this winter. I don't remember what. I have it published on my site. I'm publishing a course. I'm doing a course called Problem Solving with JavaScript. Because most of us are trained to code according to a very specific implementation, i.e. a project we saw on a Udemy course. But when it comes to doing stuff on our own, we have a really hard time. And so this is important to understand these processes because when you get to the job, you're going to be doing a lot of different things in a lot of different variations. And a lot of these places, again, I'm just talking about the Midwest. I know this is probably, your results are going to vary a little, but in the Midwest, a lot of .NET because that's what sprouted up in the 90s. And that's those are the survivors. We don't have a lot of startups. Minneapolis, huge. I mean, how many we have a ton of Fortune 500. Best Buy, 3M, not Kellogg's, General Mills. We have smaller tech companies here. We have startups. Huge, very robust tech scene. Very robust tech scene. There's even there's developer openings in Duluth, Minnesota. I mean, pick the city, pick the BFE. Even these, oh man, I mean, I'm trying to think of some smaller, like small. Minot? Why not Minot? Montana? That entire state is looking for developers in these towns. I'm trying to think of like Montana, like Helena. Try me. I'm like ready to go here. Let's get some people some jobs. Even like in Maine, I was looking at developer jobs in Maine in 2018. Portland, Maine. There's what else? What's the capital? It's not Portland, is it? I forget. There's another town there that had some dev jobs, and these are web developer jobs too, not just .NET stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's what, Louisiana, New Orleans. Like, that's not BFE, but it's certainly a town you don't ever hear about when talking about these dev jobs. Your mind's gonna be blown when you see some of these openings, and the more rural you get, the more chance you have of getting hired, because again, no one wants to move to these places. Rural America will always be rural America, and it's rural because no one lives there. That's like a Yogi Berra comment. Sorry, but I mean, I just have to stress the point because no one else is talking about it. I'm seeing people without a job, and I see these opportunities. It's like, come on, just try it. And if it sucks, then you can say, RTC, you gave me the worst advice of my life, and I'll send you a check for $500, and you never have to look at me again. I think that's a pretty good deal. I'm just kidding. I'm not sending anyone a check for $500. David says, do you think it's also easier to make a tech startup in those places? As far as costs go, yes. Now, the problem of not being in a place like San Francisco is that you don't have that proximity to other like minds. However, in a place like Minneapolis, I mean, people just have to see it. And these suburbs, again, we have Best Buy is doing some crazy great stuff. Target, that's another thing. Target's doing some crazy, awesome stuff with their app. Target has an awesome app. They gave a few talks at one of the greatest tech conferences I've ever been to, Open Source North, which takes place in Bloomington, Minnesota every year. It's been canceled this year, unfortunately, because of the Rona. However, the talent pool is a little smaller, but if you connect with the right people, I think starting a startup and scaling is a lot easier. Also, too, because there's more real estate available in a place like New York City or San Francisco. It's hard to find affordable or even somewhat reasonable commercial space. A lot of people end up just doing what do they call it? Like the shared spaces where you rent a little teeny office for a couple $100 a month in a middle, like a cubicle. I forget what they're called. It's like a really easy word. They've been sprouting up. One of them just like lost a ton of money. Does anyone know what I'm talking about here? The shared spaces, right? Like, what are they called? I know it's an easy thing. But definitely, and David, too, some of these cities, depending on the state, some of these states have different like tax breaks and stuff. I was reading this thing. So I was actually, because I was looking, check this out. So I was looking to invest in a state where I could have a commercial space for my tech business and maybe get some tax credits. So I was looking at Iowa. Reasonable property taxes, reasonable property prices. And I was looking at their little list of benefits, and they said, we can help you get some benefits if you have a search engine site. And I'm just like, how many people in Iowa are really the owner of a de facto search engine site? And I'm like, this could be interesting. Like, what are the rules for this? Because, like, what if I was just curious. And so they were saying these programs aren't easy to qualify for. Like, they make it intentionally they make it intentionally like high tier. So your search engine site has to make, I think it has to gross like $1 million a year in revenue in order to qualify for these benefits. So that's another thing too. And people still, even with the, property taxes and all these taxes in California, in San Francisco, startups are popping up left and right. Like, they don't have a problem. But it is inspiring seeing startups happen in states that are outside San Francisco, because people outside San Francisco do have some really good ideas as well. Paradoodly Dude dropping the upcoming courses on RTC's learning platform. Thanks, Para. And yeah, check out Freelance Newbie, guys, if you want to learn some freelance voodoo. Let's see. Troy Mitchell. How's it going, Troy? It says, living outside of town isn't all too bad if you like the outdoors. Yeah, exactly. Raul says, what are some states that can be considered as a sacrifice to work in? It really depends on the person. Whatever state you hate is kind of a sacrifice. A lot of people I find from the South, when they move up north, like the winters are really hard. So that can be a sacrifice. Also, too, if you have kids and you're looking for like a good school district, sometimes in the rural, it really is hit and miss with the rural areas. City areas too, but parents definitely have a harder time because they have, they're not only taking care of themselves, they also have kids that they want to give standards to or provide standards for. And school districts are a big one. I think any type of sacrifice is one where you're just like, oh man, I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling this heat. Like for me, a sacrifice state for me would be anywhere that's not Florida in the South. I can put up with the heat in Florida because the beaches are absolutely 100 and I just love them so much. I dream of the Florida waters. Like, they're just so gorgeous. They're out of a dream, a very wonderful dream. So that to me would be a treat. However, they'd probably pay me $8 an hour if I were to work for a dev company because it's that whole sunshine tax. A place like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, that would be a sacrifice to me because I really can't stand the heat. I just can't do it. Even with air conditioning being my life support, that would be a sacrifice. If it meant, if I had to go down there, if someone said, RTC, we will hire you you have to just promise us you'll stay for 1 year. We're going to hook you up with this job. Try your hardest. We're going to have you on. We're going to pay you decently. That would be, if I didn't have a company, that would be something I would definitely seriously consider if I couldn't find a job in my current location. Or even in my area, even in my region. Someone reached out to me. That to me would be a sacrifice. I'd be like, I don't like the heat, but if I'm going to get paid and it's just a year, I'm going to be inside mostly, I'll give it a thought. It all really depends on the person. There is somebody from Beantown here, and I know freaking Boston is super expensive too. Ultra Half says WeWork. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. WeWork, the shared space. And a lot of startups germinate, and spread in WeWork spaces. So that's cool to see. But also, too, if you really want to share some ideas without fear of being overheard or whatever, you don't want to be in WeWork. You want your own place. Plus it's good if you are renting a building or you even own a building. It's great for equity. If you own a building, that's awesome for your equity and just like having the pride of saying, I own this building. But starting out, a lot of places, even the old gurus from the 80s, like Steve Jobs and Wozniak and all those guys, like a lot of them started in their garage. So, and now look where they are. So I think starting out, it's really more about the idea. But once you're used to a certain standard, it's really hard to downgrade. Like as an 18-year-old, just like working in your garage, no big deal. But do you really want to be 40 working in a garage, like in the heat of Texas, like no AC, talking about some tech ideas? For most people, that's kind of a no. That's kind of a non-starter there. But anyways, developers, it's 11:57. Dang, I've been here almost 2 hours. Aiden Andriel says, a BFE, Northeast Texas. You also said Texarkana. Is that how you say it? Texarkana or Texarkana? Never been. See, I lived in Southeast Texas, and it's one big swamp, and I can say, like, the opportunities are amazing. Austin is a huge tech city. You could probably find some openings for juniors, but I mean, everyone's moving there. Big influx from Cali, too. So it's tough. I'm going to go through some comments for a few more minutes. If you haven't hit the like button, please do me a favor. I've really enjoyed our time this morning talking about tech, talking about Hacktoberfest, Shiznit Toberfest, talking about the great California outgo, talking about jobs, talking about places, maybe some hacks to land a developer job, talking about coming, a few people in today's chat, IT to front-end development. Very cool to hear. And some really great new people doing this not early morning, but, this morning chat, and also some old schoolers too. Great to see. Andriel says first one is correct. Did I say Texarkana? Never bet. Like, there are so many little cities and smaller places I really want to see this. I mean, I just keep thinking about it, like, and I know I have an outside America audience, so I apologize if you can't relate to this at all, but I really enjoy the fact that every state we have in this country is different. There are no two states alike. There are quite a few like most of the states I haven't been to are on the coast. Like Washington I haven't been to, Oregon, but like the upper, like I haven't been to Maine yet, but everything in between I pretty much have. And the languages and the different, the feel, I just like it. I like that you can drive like 6 hours and be almost in a totally different country, but it's just a state and you don't need a passport for it. I love it so much. Nick Day, what's up, Nick? Nick, tell me you're drinking a coffee. Tell me, Nick. Says Austin's got that whole keep Austin weird vibe going. It seems like a fun place from brief visits. I never made it to. Yes, I did. That's not true. I went to Austin once. I visited once. I camped out at one of their state parks. They have a state park right outside the city on this river or creek, whatever, a flowing body of water. I don't want to be too. I don't know what it was. It was just cold and looked like water. So I don't know what it was. It could have been a, sewage holding tank. I don't know what it was. But I camped there. I went to there was this cool movie theater. You could drink and eat, and they would run the food to you as the movie played. I saw, what's that movie? Not Toy Story. It was totally not Toy Story. It's that one where the girl is in a video game, like Sarah Silverman plays the voice. And Wreck-It Ralph. So I saw Wreck-It Ralph at this movie theater, and they bring the food and drink it to you, and you can bring it. They bring you alcohol. I had a Sierra Nevada Torpedo 16-ounce. I was like living the high life in Austin, but I was only there a few nights. I think I was just there overnight. I would totally go back, but man, I mean, I probably would never move there. My Midwest values with just out of principle, I'm not paying $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom. Like, I'm just not doing that. Nick says, catching the end of the stream and finishing coffee. Good call. Mark24 says, can relate. We have 30 states. Mark24, where are you at? Also, too, Canada's pretty cool too because they have provinces, and I spent some time in Ontario. What are there? Saskatchewan, and is there one between Saskatchewan and Ontario? It's British Columbia. Whitehorse. I don't know. I used to know all the territories and the provinces and stuff, but Canada's pretty cool. As someone commented earlier, Canada has a smaller population than California, which is really funny. Majid says, why can't I forward the video? What do you mean? Because it's a live stream. The first person who can forward a live stream, email me, because that's like $1 million idea. You would be predicting the future. That's $1 million idea right there. Developers, thanks for tuning in today. We talked about a lot of stuff. Wrapping it up, let's recap what we talked about. Hacktoberfest. Gotta plant that tree or get that t-shirt. T-shirt driven development. What a mess. Talked about California. Talked about pretty much anything in the chat. Paradoodly-doo, shout out to you holding it down in the chat. Thanks Donovan and William for popping in. For my patrons, some new people today. Robbo, Beverly 2 has been here, but shout out to Beverly 2 as well. There are some people who have been consistently showing up to these live streams, and I really just love seeing these familiar names. Andriel, thanks for coming. Kevin, who else? I don't want to forget anyone, but I know there's like so many names here. Jason, the Bayless Code, Soham, Robbo the Fossil, Pavan, Lawson Williams, Caller162, Raul, and so many others. So I have a busy day today. I gotta go drink another coffee. I gotta go record a video. It's for real world tips for FANG interviews given by people who have actually been to these interviews. So it's not just me like pulling stats out of my butt and like talking about it. That'd be really, that's not the type of, YouTube's not the place for that. The point being, I got some work to do. Thanks for tuning in, developers. As always, I hope you're having a great day. Shout out Chiquito. Thanks for the watermelon wonder. Really enjoyed hanging out with you guys today. Thanks for watching. Happy developing. Have a good weekend. See you in the Discord. And this is the Minnesota goodbye we all know and love. So see you later.